Notice is hereby given of a Friendswood City Council regular meeting to be held at 4:30 on Monday, April 4th, 2016, at Friendswood City Hall, Council Chambers, 910 South Friendswood Drive, Friendswood, Texas, regarding the items of business according to the agenda below. Call the meeting to order. We're going to have the invocation by Pastor Jim Bass with First United Methodist Church. And then item 3, we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance, United States and Texas. So remain standing, please.
Let us pray. Lord, we give you thanks for the community in which we are part of here in Friendswood. For all the blessings we have here, we give you thanks. And Lord, as this council meeting comes together, we pray for all of our council members, our mayor. Just grant them your wisdom, your guidance, and that all be done here, be done for the common good. And Lord, we remember all of our servicemen and women here and throughout the world, keeping us safe and protecting our liberties. Keep them safe, we pray, and also all those here in our community, our police officers, our firefighters, our first responders, Lord, who put their lives on the line for us. We pray that you keep them safe as they serve us in our community. Again, Lord, we give you thanks for the opportunity to be in this community and the freedoms which we have in this nation. We give you praise in Christ's name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor to the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Brother Jim. Do you have any cards, Melinda?
No, sir.
Okay. I mean, does anybody want to talk? Okay.
Well, no, but I was ready to flag anyway.
Item 4, communication from the public. To comply with the provisions of the Open Meetings Act, the City Council may not deliberate on items discussed under this agenda item. The council may refer this item to the city manager or direct this item to be placed on the next regular council agenda. PowerPoint presentations are not conducted during the citizens' comment period. Start out with our work session, Chief. A, body cameras for the police department.
Well, first, let me apologize for my attire. I have been down in Brazoria County with the Friendswood Police Department, the Denton Police Department, and the Texas Rangers, who are in the process of trying to recover remains. So those activities are showing promise and progress, and once we're done with any and all of it, I'll be giving you a pretty detailed report on it. So we're going to talk about body-worn cameras, and what I thought I'd do is cut to the chase and go to the last slide first. I know. I actually have 3 pages of talking notes, and I won't subject you to that either. Okay, so there's no new requirement that's being imposed by the state recording for the last 14 years, initially with micro cassette recorders. From there, we acquired the VHS in-car camera systems. We migrated to digital when the time came, and then we did away with our micro cassette recorders and acquired digital audio recorders. And the digital audio recorders are what we use to record any officer contact that they have that's outside of the range and purview of the in-car camera system. So we've been doing it. So I don't want anybody to think with all the press and issues relating to police conduct that our presentation or our request for a favorable consideration of this grant has anything to do with that, because it doesn't. There's no external influence as a result of current events, as I mentioned. No change to current operational practices. No institutional or cultural resistance. There's a lot of large city police departments who haven't recorded at all, not with VHS, not with digital first generation, and not with digital second generation. No additional funding is going to be required to accommodate record storage. So if you're HPD and you have 5,500 officers, and however many are being equipped with body cameras, being able to store those citizen contacts could be extremely expensive. And we've already replaced the server here last year, and we've got the capacity for that storage. And the bottom line is that this program is an upgrade to what we already have. So let me just hit a couple of highlights here. So I've given you the highlights. We could just skip the questions if anybody has any. Here's the timeline. We'll be coming back to you with something on the agenda for approval next month. We are in the middle of beta testing the cameras right now, just to make sure that everything works the way that we need to have it work, namely getting the data from the recorder into our server, and that anything that we need to do with library retrieval and whatnot works the way that it's supposed to. We'll submit the grant in May, and then we'll actually go operational in the July-August timeframe. I just went ahead and mentioned where we're at as far as our current practices go. And you can see that we were paying between $300 and $350 for the Pumas, and it's $100 more for the body cameras. All uniformed first responders and supervisors, so the approximate number is 45 who wear them. And in addition to that, every time we purchase a vehicle and we replace a camera system, we're also getting a body camera with it. So any growth that we have as far as manpower or any issues that we have with spares, as a matter of fact, I think we've got probably 6 or 8 body cameras right now. So Texas Senate Bill 158 is the established funding for the program. And, again, the International Association of Chiefs of Police, major city police department policies, I mean, we've taken lessons learned from them and built them into our own policy. I think the thing that I should highlight right now is those policies are not written to say, gotcha, as far as the officers go. Those policies are common sense policies that actually benefit benefit the officer as far as the camera goes. And I think the other point I'd make is that when we have a vehicle with a camera that's out of service, the officers will not take it out of the parking lot. That's the culture as far as not having any problems with their behavior being reported. They will not take a vehicle out of the parking lot if the camera's broken. The vendor is L3 Mobile Vision. The only thing probably that you need to be aware of as far as that goes is they provide the in-car video, so they all integrate into the same server and the same library system. No difference. I had concerns when we spoke at budget about what the implications were going to be for open records, and I have been assured by the city attorney with some degree of certainty that we're not going to be into a situation where there's a different set of criteria for the release of a body camera recording. The same criteria for body camera recordings is the same criteria for our in-car video. So evidentiary purposes, you just can't go fishing for body camera video to see what went on at your neighbor's house if the police were over there. there's privacy, guarantees and whatnot. And then the library requirements, how long do we hold them? 90 days. That's how long we hold our in-car video, and so we'll hold the body camera data for 90 days, unless it's associated with an arrest, in which case that portion of the data will be, put on a CD, and, that goes to the district attorney's office. So anything that needs to be memorialized for evidence is not, does not go away. And I think probably the last bullet on there is the one that, again, it can't be a fishing expedition. Date and approximate time of the recording, specific location, and then who is supposed to be on the recording. And now we're right back to where we started.
25% us, 75% the federal government?
Actually, it's coming through the state,
Or state?
and the 25% is coming from the Police Investigative Fund, which I think you all know is the asset forfeiture fund. So the drug dealers are paying for the video, and they'll likely be the ones that'll be on the body cameras anyways, for the most part. Questions?
Councilmember Enochs?
Chief, is this replacing the car cams, dashboard cams, or is it going to be used in
No,
lieu
sir.
of?
No, they're actually going to replace the audio recorders that the officers either carry in their pocket or they carry on their duty belt.
Gotcha.
And this will be used to record anything that occurs outside of the, scope and view of what's happening with the in-car video.
Okay. And then what about ongoing costs? Are there any quarterly, annual software licensing, any fees like that we need to start budgeting for, be prepared?
No, I think that, as a matter of fact, whatever we have going in the way of maintenance costs is associated with the servers. I mean, we have maintenance that, is obviously part of, an ongoing process with the in-car video, but those are largely on warranty right now, aren't they, the new ones?
We have a 3-year, I think, with those, but we'll have a 1-year with the body camera.
So there's a 1-year warranty with those.
I just stressed to your guys, I see this as an added protective measure for them, and I'm not supporting this for the folks they're pulling over. I'm supporting this because it's going to be added.
Yeah, I mean, again, and I think the city manager will attest, we get complaints on officer conduct periodically, and we're able to dial in very quickly using in-car video. I mean, in-car video dispels probably 90% of them right away because they're usually related to a traffic contact. And then there are times when we have to, pull the audio from a digital recorder, but, it's really more, folks don't like getting a traffic ticket and the officer was rude or, whatever the case happens to be. So this will be viewed as an added measure and enhancement to what we do already.
Any concern from any of the officers?
No, I think that they're in favor. I think that they're in favor. I mean, we purposely, took our time so that we reviewed policy because, you can write policy in such a way that it becomes onerous and it defies common sense and it becomes almost, I don't want to say a game because it's not a game, but, the officers feel as though that somebody's just out there to get them. And that's not been our, that's not been our practice when we have formulated policy, and certainly, we kept an eye towards that. We don't want to create a disciplinary nightmare by having an onerous policy that, just is, I guess, is overly directive.
Any other questions?
Didn't we have this before us, once before, and we basically said don't do the body camera stuff?
It was on our budget, I think.
Yeah, but it was, when we had the discussion,
We were paying for all of it.
it was, we were gonna pay for all of it.
Okay.
And we, I think I said during budget time, if folks were really serious and they wanted us to have them, that they would be providing grant money for that, and that we should delay the acquisition until we start to see the grant money come forward. So that's essentially where we're at right now.
Okay. Okay.
And Councilman Scott, I think the other piece of it too, Chief, if I remember correctly, was when we were talking about it then, this was new technology and just starting to be utilized, and we wanted to see how it was going to work with some of the other agencies and kind of test out some of how the freedom of information requests were going to
Correct.
go, and we wanted to
Correct.
ease into this, not rush into it.
Yeah, there were some things that, we asked Arnold to look at, and, the city attorney has done that. And then, of course, there's been clarification at the state level about what, about what they were gonna require. So when we got the notification of grant acceptance, they gave us a checklist. And when we went through the checklist, there was obviously some things in there policy-wise that we had to structure into our policy for body cameras. And there was no showstopper that was involved in that. As a matter of fact, some of them were to the benefit and to the protection of the officer.
Right.
So,
Well, I think I think again, I think it's a useful tool to protect the integrity of our police department. But I made the argument then that I didn't feel that we needed it, and certainly my argument at that time was because we didn't need to spend the money on it.
Correct.
It wasn't a requirement, and
correct.
so I could be persuaded to approve it, but
Their conduct is really who they are.
Sure.
And what they're all about. And I think we all know that ethics is what you do, or ethics are what you do when nobody's looking. So a body camera is not going to, be the engine of change,
right.
For character or culture in an organization. And so that's not what this is about. So in this particular case, this is purely a business deal.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity to go ahead and replace what we've got right now with a technology upgrade, and to have the state pick up 75% of the cost.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Moving on. Discussion with Progressive Waste Solutions.
Good evening. As part of our contract, and I believe we expressed this to you last month, that there's an opportunity in there for the firm Progressive to present a request for rate adjustment based on several factors. The two biggest pieces of the factors is the CPI and the cost of fuel. Also into that goes landfill costs and things like that. So as presented on your in your AI, what the proposal is for a CPI adjustment of 2%, operational, and then a fuel adjustment of minus 3.884. So we end up with a total adjustment of 0.0116, which is 2 cents on the rate, on the monthly rate. But I do have Mr. Martin and Mr. Ochoa here. They can answer any detailed questions and be happy to discuss how that was calculated.
Mayor, Council, any questions? Be happy to answer. Councilman Rockey.
Councilmember Rockey.
Where did you arrive at the fuel adjustment?
It's a great question. Historically, we've used the fuel cost adjustment that is outlined in the contract under this specific section. And so I received documentation from staff and just plugged in the most recent numbers for that. And that was a negative 3.884% downward trend for this year, which is something we had discussed the last time we were at the council meeting, which Councilmember Enox had kind of alluded to, the possibility of a downward trend being that fuel is at a low point right now.
Councilmember Gustafson.
I read this right, single-family house, this is 2 cents a month.
Yes, Councilman.
Councilmember Enoch?
So this adjustment will be in place for the next 12 months?
That's correct.
And then where does that put us on the contract overall?
The contract ends in 2017. We're preparing a proposal for council to consider the extension of our contract. Within that proposal, we're going to have some comparable rates that are surrounding cities outside of Friendswood, so you can have that in your packet. Also some other incentives for us, including perhaps the possibility of capital upgrades. So yes, that puts us, this is the last price adjustment prior to the agreement renewal potential.
Councilmember Hill?
Are the automated trucks in the future, how far off you think they are?
Well, the great thing, we met with our regional staff actually last week, and we identified with them that Friendswood is, everything's going well. The sentiment from the city is that if it's not broke, don't fix it. And we want to walk through that piece with the city of Friendswood. There is no, we do not want to have a sentiment of we're shoving down automation down your throat. So we want to walk step by step. When the residents feel that they're comfortable with the change, that's something that we can make that transition. This Saturday with the Spring Sparkle this weekend, I plan on surveying some of the residents that stop by just to gauge their opinion on whether or not they would like an automated side load type of system versus where they are today.
I'm sure it's all about the money, but your system is not broke. It's very reliable, and I'm happy with the job y'all do, and I commend you for doing it so well.
Thank you so much, Councilman. Appreciate that.
With such a big company, 2 cents, doesn't it cost you more to make that change?
I'm sorry?
I said 2 cents, doesn't it cost you more to make that change? That's all, I mean.
Well, this is currently on what we're doing today. Again, when the conversation of automation takes place, there'll be a whole new proposal that the council can consider at that time. And I anticipate that to be down the line. At this point, what we would like to do is discuss our possibility of renewal with the city. We think that the relationship with the city is great, service is great, and we want to make sure that the council is comfortable in making that extension as well.
Okay. Anything else? Thank you, Chris.
Have a great evening. Thank you so much.
Patrick, capital projects? Understand my question.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. As I do monthly for those at home, I provide a capital project update for all of our capital projects that we have going on throughout the city. And I'll start off with our first project is our library project. Currently, this past month, you've seen some change, but not as much. There was an issue that was determined and worked through during the month regarding the actual height of these members. That kind of put the contractor out of commission for about a week. So if you were going by and wondering, hey, how come they're not doing any work out on the outdoor veranda or on the children's side, that was why. Actually, not on the children's side, but on this side. If you were happened to go out there today, you would have seen probably about a dozen people working on this side and the children's side. The portions, this is the children's side of the library. The portions that they did complete this month, this is going to be the history room. After the project is completely done, in the interim, they're going to put a bunch of the children's books in here to allow for faster use or faster renovation of the portion of the building, existing portion of the building. The second item is, this is the city staff lounge.
Patrick, if you don't mind me interrupting you.
Yes, sir.
Go back to the prior picture.
Sure.
And Mary, correct me if I'm incorrect, but I believe, didn't we receive a donation from Friendswood Rotary Club? They're gonna give us $1,000 to pay for the table that's gonna go in this room? That's correct. So just a shout out and thank you to Friendswood Rotary for donating that.
The final thing about the library that I do not have a picture on that's probably most beneficial to our patrons listening at home, the drive-through is now open. It opened up today, so when you read your AI memo, it didn't have the drive-through on there. It's because it opened up this morning. The next project I'd like to talk about is our fire stations, and many of you, I can tell by the sunburn, were out there on Saturday. Some of you were not, but for the most part, a good representation of council, and this is a picture of the mayor and council members who were there, Roger on the far right, and some of the volunteer fire department and EMS on your left. The contractor is, the plans are in the review stage by the building official. We anticipate issuing the notice to proceed for next Monday. Re-roof of City Hall.
Nice photoshopping.
Yes. Re-roof of City Hall, as we hear even during this meeting, the re-roofing is still progressing. I think although it's very noisy at times and not having the front door accessible, I think the contractor is doing a pretty good job both in how they're working, the product they're providing, and the time that they're actually doing. When we initially met with the contractor, the contract time is 90 working days, which would put a completion sometime in June. The contractor anticipated at that time on being done by April 15th. There were portions of the members that were damaged during the delivery of it, so they're waiting on some members to be brought back, replacement members to be brought back. Provided they're able to be provided in a reasonable amount of time, they will definitely be done, or they will be done later this month. Our sports park project, there was an event this past weekend. The Girls Softball Association were using the existing fields. You can see the building up here, the handrails, the bleachers. If you were to go inside the concession area right now, you'll notice that there's a couple fridges and a whole bunch of Fritos and all kinds of good things in there today. On the proposed fields, this is the parking lot. On the proposed fields, I'm going to walk you through several different slides of the grass going down and portions of the fence being installed. Kind of give you a little iteration of a lot of the hard work that's going out there. As you can see, the lights are definitely functional, and the fence is currently going up now.
Councilmember Gustafson?
Hey, Patrick, I got to spend a little time out there Saturday, and the girls were playing their games as part of the opening day festivities, even though it's almost the end of their season. But, still not playing on the new fields. At least they're now able to use the new building at the old fields. And overall, the feedback was really, really good. I think the girls in particular are very happy with the nice, clean, new bathrooms with more facilities, and the concession stand was well liked. So
good.
Yeah, it was all in all real good feedback.
Good.
So.
And as we kind of look at the existing fields, one thing I did want to point out, there are a couple smaller items that need to be done, although it wouldn't be shown on the
It looks real nice out there. You guys are doing a good job, and then the effort. I recall the parking lot being something that we actually stopped and had some rather lengthy discussions about how that should be when we did it, and you guys hit that one out of the park, no pun intended.
Good.
There's plenty of room to open doors with the largest of vehicles, and nobody was cramped or get a vehicle in and out real easy. So you guys did a real good job with that.
So all the people out there with dualies didn't bam doors?
It's not a, no, not a problem at all. And the other thing I guess I'd like to point out too, I think I may have touched on it last month, but you guys have, I think, done an extraordinary job making the fields available to use while you're doing all this work. And that's not an easy thing to do. And as far as I know, knock on wood, nobody's been hurt out there doing it. You got kids running around, and you know, I think you guys have just done a magnificent job making it happen. So, as has the softball association. So,
Thank you,
good
Council.
job.
For those of you who haven't been out there, this is the parking lot, and one of the things we did try and allow for is if by chance this entire parking lot was full, you'd have a smooth transition into the open field that is right here, which could house numerous vehicles, you know, for the overflow parking. Really, I just wanted to see the grass going down again. It took a while to get grass, so that's why I wanted to go through the slideshow. James is in the audience. I don't see James, but he would be equally as thrilled. Lake Friendswood is still progressing. I anticipate going out for bids later this month, first part of May, and bringing something to you in the at the June meeting. Stevenson Park Bridge. Later this evening, you'll have an agenda item for the connecting trails between Old City Park and Stevenson Park. One of the things, if you weren't out there today, you would notice that this is the end of Winding Way, and there used to be a lot of overgrown brush right in this area, along with a fairly deep channel right in this area that would go down. Public Works staff went in there with the idea of, hey, we do need to trim some of this back. It would be safer to install a pipe right through here and also kind of fill everything in. We could have had a contractor do it. However, our guys went out there, did that ahead of time, and allowed us, as you'll see when we present the item for the Old City Trails, below the budget number that we originally had. And I know that we don't get many of those below budget items, so kind of happy about that. Earlier today, the contractor doing the bridge abutments was out there pouring the pilings themselves. There's your concrete going into one of the rebar-filled cages into the fountain for the abutments. Downtown street pavers, we've had our pre-construction meeting, and the notice to proceed is set for Monday. The street bond project, if you happen to go to McDonald's earlier today or earlier this afternoon, you would have noticed that if you went there in the morning, got a lot of dirt, went there this afternoon, you would have seen that they had poured some concrete on the 518 portion. Obviously not all the way down to the other end. Once they finish pouring the concrete on this one lane of Shadow Bend, they'll be moving over to Towns as this concrete cures and start doing basically the exact same thing one half of the road over there on Towns. Whispering Pines Avenue and Friendswood Link Road. This is a shot from the bridge. You may recall all of the trees and such right in this area on the Valenzuela property. Council and myself have been working through an eminent domain case. We think we are finished with that. Probably not, but I think we are. So they're working on today, they were working on the water line, which would be located right around in this area, tying it into the existing water line and working on the road themselves. Closer to 518, you can see where they've started to pull out or prepare for the subgrade. Water plants 2 and 7. Water plant 2, continuing to work on various items with the bridge. Not with the bridge, but with the actual existing building. And water plant 7 is pretty close to completion and scheduling of the substantial walkthrough. One thing that in working through with the contractor on the actual steps on chlorinating the tank, we noticed that the line leading up to it was also installed and had not had its back T test done, so we're in the process of scheduling that, which should take place Thursday of this week. Lift Station 3, One of the issues we've come into right about in this area right here is where one of the manholes is supposed to be. We looked at potentially using the actual wet well of the lift station as a manhole and eliminating one. However, there could be potential issues down the road. So rather than kick the can and spend almost as much, let's do it correctly. And we're working with CenterPoint Energy to remove the gas lines that come to A, the meter, and B, the generator. What that would do would leave this facility without a generator, which was like it was for many years, and then just relocate this generator to the proposed site on the far side of 518. This is looking down that right of way, and you can see a lot of existing utilities. We are working with CenterPoint Energy on the permanent fix on how to get the proposed gravity line to where it needs to be with the least impact.
Is that by Analia?
Yes, sir, it is. I want to say, and I apologize, I can't recall the name of the actual liquor store, but that is a liquor store right here, and Stratmore, I believe, is on that side. Potter's Liquor Store, yes.
Hey, Patrick.
Yes, sir.
I don't want to interrupt you, but would you tell the council about the project that Drainage District is doing over there in Whitehall, the box culvert?
Over at Whitehall, yes, sir. That what they're working on, they have actually applied for and received a grant from the state through the General Land Office, much like what we have for Whispering Pines Friendswood Link. Same essential pot of money. They're going to be boxing in that ditch. They're looking at what's the most effective way, whether it be through concrete box, concrete pipe, or an HDPE alternative. But in essence, they would be filling in that ditch and basically turning it into a bunch of green space.
That's trip two?
Trip two. I'm sorry?
The Analia ditch is parallel to Stratmore. It's a wide ditch that acted as a detention pond for a number of years, which the Drainage District's been maintaining. They're using their general fund balance to convert that expansive ditch into simply box culverts, a combination of 6x6 and 8x6 boxes. I believe the project's about $8 million, or $3 million, sorry.
$3 million.
$3 million, yes, sir.
That will be a real improvement over there.
Thank you, Murad. We have a bunch of our own projects. I try and
You
keep
were
up
talking
with
about
them.
the Trip 2
Yes, sir.
project. That's a big one too.
Lift Station 18, this is over off of Shady Oaks on the Harris County side. This is the existing or the proposed wet well. As you can tell, they're pretty much to the top of that, and they're actually over here is where the existing wet well is. They have their bypass pumping, which you can see in the background, going to the force main, and they're actually tying in the proposed manhole, which will go right about here, and they will soon be demolitioning the existing wet well. Any questions?
That last one you showed us, is that where
Yes,
they
sir.
dig the bottom out and pull the dirt and it just,
Yep, gravity sinks it. They have a person down there, and the way they happen to do it on this project, which is not uncommon, is basically, I guess they draw straws, and the first man down, he goes down there, and they put a bucket down there, and you fill up the bucket until you get tired, and then, they continually change out the bucket, but, as you go through, people get tired, change another person out in. But basically, you're just hand digging with a shovel, and gravity sinks basically that's reinforced concrete pipe. Once you've gone 6 feet, which is usually the joints that they use, once it's down 6 more feet, they put another joint on top of it, and it continues to sink with its own weight. So, neat little process, although it's definitely time consuming and makes you appreciate going to school. Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Patrick. Discussion regarding the purchase of sewer capacity and the Blackhawk wastewater treatment plant. Brad?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. You may recall for the past 2 years, we've been working with Gulf Coast Waste Disposal Authority, our operator at the Blackhawk wastewater treatment plant, as well as the other participants, to pursue a solution to our I&I problem, the inflow and infiltration issue that we're experiencing at the plant. The solution that was agreed upon 2 years ago was to build a third clarifier. And in accordance with our contract with Gulf Coast as well as the other participants, each group, the City of Houston, Baybrook Mud 1, Harris County Mud 55, and Friendswood were to share the cost of the third clarifier based upon their percent capacity in the plant currently. Houston and Baybrook Mud 1 were a little less eager to participate in that project, and it's since backed off and suggested Mud 55 and Friendswood pursue the third clarifier. Long story short, everyone's agreed to pursue the third clarifier based on the current contract. Throughout this process, the City of Houston has identified that they don't need the capacity they currently have in the plant at Blackhawk. And so they've made a proposal to the other participants, mainly Mud 55 and Friendswood, to slowly buy them out of the plant. They currently have roughly 1.5 million gallons per day capacity in the plant, and they're utilizing at best 300,000 at the plant. They made a proposal to Mud 55 and the City of Friendswood to purchase sewer connections at the rate they're currently charging for their sewer capacity impact fee, which is $1,199, a little under $1,200 per connection. That price is, in staff's estimation, extremely fair, and it's very reasonable considering that's what they charge a new homeowner that goes in and wants a connection into their system. You can't get any cheaper than that. The impact fees are derived based on their large-scale capital needs for sewer conveyance and treatment, and then divided and discounted by 50%. So we believe it's a fair price. We've met with Mud 55, and they've indicated to us that of the 1.1 million gallons that Houston's put up for sale, they're only interested in 360 connections, which equates to 90,000 gallons a day. The remaining 1.01 million gallons available to us for purchase, we have funds within the money we had gone out for bonds for the third clarifier. When we had drafted those bond ordinances, Houston had still not committed to pay their share of the third clarifier, so we issued bonds based upon the worst case scenario, and that was us paying for 72% of the third clarifier. So if council were interested, we can pursue the purchase of roughly 1,000 connections today without impacting the rates whatsoever, and start moving towards buying out the City of Houston. Ultimately, if we were to get the full $1.01 million, it may be sufficient to handle us through build out of Friendswood, which would be great. Now, that doesn't mean we'll never have any rehab at Blackhawk. It is an aging facility, 40+ years old. Plus, we have an I&I issue. So as we fix our sewer system and we add new houses to the system, we'll always have that concern. But this is a step in the right direction for addressing the long-term sewer treatment needs of Friendswood. Questions?
McGinnis?
I think I heard two conflicting statements about the City of Houston. First, that they agreed with the third clarifier under the current capacity agreement.
Correct.
And then at the end, well, they haven't really agreed to pay for it under the current capacity agreement. So is there an ulterior motive for them to not have to share that cost?
And I apologize, I was explaining the history of how we got to this point. They have agreed and will be paying their share of the third clarifier. They will be spending roughly $800,000 for that. Separate from that, we are pursuing potentially, if council's interested, in an agreement to purchase capacity from them. So they will spend their $800,000 share of the third clarifier, and we'll move on towards building that clarifier, which is, if I'm not mistaken, the notice to proceed should have been already cut by now for that third clarifier. But amongst this discussion, they've realized that they don't have as much need in that treatment plant as the other participants do. Namely, they built a lift station, the main lift station off Bay Area Boulevard, that outfalls to this plant 9 times the size that it needed to be, so they don't have an I&I issue. They just turn off their pumps. Because of that, they've seen that no need for any further expansion, let alone the capacity they currently have, and they're trying to minimize their exposure in this plant long term.
So we get to pick up it's an opportunity for us to acquire at a reasonable rate additional capacity.
And wastewater treatment is very much opportunistic based upon your location. They don't have very limited, contractually, number one, they're obligated to, if they want to sell capacity, to first offer it to the participants in the plant, which they've done. But number two, you can't simply go buy capacity in this plant without a conveyance to the treatment plant. So it's, if we don't buy it, there's really no one else that will.
Councilmember Hill?
Mo, this additional capacity, you said it would accommodate 1,000 extra connections.
No, it'll, 1.01 million, which is roughly 4,040 connections.
Oh, wow, that's it better yet.
Yes, sir.
But I wanted to make the point, it may prevent us from having to build another sewer plant or a tremendous expansive one. And to do that, we need to really try to keep on our 90-foot lots, because every lot has a connection regardless of how small it is or how
Right.
big it is. So that's something for us to bear in mind.
Yes, sir.
Councilmember Rockey?
The 4.8 million to buy out this capacity minus 1.2, so we have another 3.5. What's the timetable for doing that?
The city of Houston is open to any options. Arnold has had some communication with their attorney. It's basically up to us and how aggressively we want to tackle it. We do have a concern that if we were to pursue it too quickly, that they will impact our long-term utility rates. I mean, from a staff's perspective, I don't want to wait 10 years to buy it, but maybe over the next 6 to 8 years, phasing in a few, anywhere from 800 to 1,000 connections a year or somewhere thereabouts.
And would we do that through our wastewater program? That wouldn't come out of general funds, would it?
That would have to come out of either a new debt issuance, or if our capital, working capital above the 90-day reserve were to grow, which it hasn't been growing as it has in years past. If it were to grow, then we can utilize those funds to purchase that as well. We can do a combination of either debt or operating funds, whatever council prefers.
You know, buying sewage treatment plant capacity is probably the least sexy thing we ever get to talk about here, but we really are doing something long-term, very, very fruitful for the city, in my opinion.
And council did this a number of years ago on the water side, and it's proved very beneficial to Friendswood. This would be similar to that.
Well, and as Mo said, and in the industry, all treatment of water, either fresh water, wastewater, the prices are shooting up. The ability to get past capacity is getting harder and harder. This is a golden opportunity.
Any other questions?
We assume the direction from council is for staff, Arnold and myself and others, to pursue an agreement.
Councilmember
It's supposed to
Gosar?
have to be about $1,000 a connection.
A little under 1,200, but thereabouts, yes, sir.
General? No? Yeah? Okay. Got direction?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. We'll start with discussion regarding tax exemption application for Whitcomb property. Item E.
Yes, sir. You may recall the first part of 2015, staff had provided council and the Planning and Zoning Commission with a plan unit development application from Clear Creek Community Church to develop the Whitcomb property, roughly 135 acres off of FM 528 in Blackhawk. In the midst of that discussion, the church had submitted a tax exemption application to Harris County Appraisal District long before the PUD application was ever approved for the entire 135 acres. When staff was made aware of this, post the PUD approval, we met with Harris County Appraisal District and were basically denied any procedural or any opportunity to contest the tax exempt status granted for the property. You may recall the PUD that y'all approved based upon the applicant's submittal was for roughly 35 acres for church and the remaining 100 acres for commercial and office space. Last week, Arnold and myself attended an appraisal review board meeting related to this item, and the tax exempt status was upheld.
Councilmember McGinnis?
Mayor, I can't tell you how my heart sank when I read about this. And I further clarified with Roger and Mo that the leaders of the Clear Creek Community Church did not communicate this to us. Is that correct?
The application was submitted in May. The PUD was approved in June.
So at the same time they were applying and talking with us about changing our zoning, they were also either they or the people that owned the land before the sale occurred was applying to the appraisal district. Is that correct?
They applied shortly after acquiring the property, which was late May.
Okay. And what are our options for this? Clearly, it was our intention as the council to grant them part of that use for church and to hold part of that land for commercial use. Do you know our current options right now to?
I'll defer to Arnold.
As they concern the exemption itself, the process that we've gone through to this point, and that being filing a challenge petition for the city of Friendswood and then appearing before the appraisal review board, essentially was the exhaustion of our administrative remedies that are given to us under the Texas tax code. Where you go from here, if you wish to seek further review, would require judicial action, in essence, a lawsuit being filed. You do have an item in your executive session segment coming up that would allow you to discuss those if you so chose.
Well, Mayor, I just felt such disappointment because when the leaders of that organization spoke to council, told us what great citizens they would be, and asked us to consider that rezoning for them, I had the impression they were going to have a good partnership with the city and our citizens because of their great enthusiasm to coming to Friendswood. So was very, very disheartened when I read this was their action.
Councilmember Rockey?
Approximately how much tax money are we talking about now on the property, undeveloped?
If I recall, it's roughly $3,700 for the undeveloped annually from the city's portion.
That's the city's portion.
Yes, sir.
And does that include, and then I've only heard this, and I don't understand the law, there's something when the old ag exemption got pulled off, there's a payback of the old ag exemption. Is that included in that or not?
That is not included in that calculation, no, sir.
Okay, so that's not a complication at all?
The seller took care of that? Yeah.
So I'm similar to Pat. I think this is not the relationship we expected to have. And I also find it a little weird because, to be honest, when the church does proceed in building their church, they're going to have to work through planning and zoning and council on quite a few things. And so to start out of the box, basically creating a distrustful situation over $3,700, it doesn't sound right to me. And I'm concerned about it as well.
Anybody else? Thank you, Mo.
Mayor, can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
I will say one more thing, Mayor. At the end of that evening's discussion, I remember you specifically looking out into the audience and saying, after we had made the decision, please work with the city or something along those lines, an extended hand. And it just really, like I said, disheartens me.
Thank you, Pat. Yeah. You guys mind if I suspend the rules? No? No. Yeah. You can do 9, Roger, can't you? Okay. Yep. You can do 13.
Yes, sir.
Is Sherry here? No? Okay. Go ahead, Roger.
I won't take much time, but just wanted to announce a few things. Keep Friendswood Beautiful Board and City of Friendswood are sponsoring the annual Spring Sparkle event this Saturday, April 9th from 8 to 2. You heard a presentation a little bit ago from Progressive Waste Solutions, and they'll be out there along with Gallatin County Consolidated Drainage District to help with this great cleanup day, so we're excited about that. Also, planned for Saturday, April 18th from 9 to 4 is the 11th Annual Car and Bike Show. Recall, we used to have an event known as the Fig Festival. Friendswood is great. That's evolved into the Annual Car and Bike Show, and that's coordinated by the Chamber of Commerce in the City of Friendswood, and that's taking place Saturday, the 18th, here in Stevenson Park. You mentioned the presentation for the library. In addition to that, we have National Library Week that's occurring April 11th through 16th. Councilmember Enox mentioned the $1,000 donation. That presentation will take place during that time and will be used to purchase a conference table for that local history room that was shown in Patrick's presentation earlier. No, that's okay. I'm glad you reported it. You're with them. The Friends of the Library will be also there and serving refreshments, so please stop by. And lastly, another annual event, the Youth Fishing Derby, is Saturday, May 7th from 9 to 12 at Centennial Park for kids ages 16 and under. And I'm told that over 600 pounds of catfish are being stocked in Centennial Park, so I'm sure there will be folks watching the park to make sure it's not fished out prior to the event, but it is kidfish, exactly right. No pre-registration or fishing licenses are required, so if you have kids, have them come out. It's a great time. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Roger. Arnold, can we do 18 if we just do discussion? And then I'd like to move on down to closed executive session to do city secretary's review.
As you wish, Mayor.
Go ahead. 18. Discussion and possible action regarding the Friendswood Volunteer Fire Department donation fund.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to discuss this issue.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor? All those? Okay, showed it you'd be unanimous. Go ahead.
I have coffee with the president of the fire department every Saturday morning at McDonald's at 7 o'clock if anybody wants to join. But in a passing conversation, 3 or 4 weeks ago, he told me that since we implemented the new software program at the city on collecting the water bills, the donations had drastically dropped, and by as much as 50%. You look in your backup material, you can see that we were having up to 42% contribute, and now it's probably somewhere in the low 20s. But it's we've talked about this at workshops, and I think it's time and I don't want us to decide tonight. We're going to have to address it head on. I've come up with a couple of ideas. Y'all can think on them. One of them, of course, we can always charge for ambulance service, but then you get into having to probably hire somebody to collect it, deal with insurance companies, Medicare, this, that, and the other. And also our volunteers really don't care about that, and I can understand their point of view. We can take the money out of the general fund. That's always an option. Just add it. It would, to create the same revenue, we're talking about a 1-cent tax increase. And my own, a pretty simple idea would be to drop the fee from $3 a month to $2 a month, but assess it mandatory on every water meter. And that would generate enough money to cover this fund for, I think, at least 5 or 6 years. And people would lose their, right now, I didn't know it, but it's a 501(c)(3), It's tax deductible now, but you're talking about $24 a month. So you lose the tax exemption. A year, I'm sorry, a year. And I'm sure some people will look at it as a tax increase. But if we do it on the general budget, it will be a tax increase. I look at it as they are subcontractors to the city. I look at it as the same way we just talked with Progressive. They pick up garbage, these other guys pick up people. So to me, it's an even deal. I don't know if Rick would like to say anything to you, if the council would have no objections. He gave me this complicated paper that's printed so small I can't read it. But it details out their 15-year plan, and he'll have to explain that to you.
Can I make a comment first? Sure. For all of you that aren't here and are watching on TV, I urge you to help us here. Donations going down 50% because of the change the way the bill looks. Please, please, please consider making the donation that you made before. And that'll help our fire department, our EMS, and you and your neighbors. So please, go ahead, Rick. Councilmember Gustafson.
Is it a pretty safe bet this all occurred just because of the way that we did the billing? Can't we just change the way the bill looks to make it look the way it did before? Or I mean, before I go on to some other mandatory things, and I understand you guys don't want to wait too long to do this because it's a big hole in the budget, but you know, have we looked at ways that we can do this? I mean, I'm not even sure I've seen the water bill, what it looks like now, and why it's different, but the way it was done before, it was pretty easy to see.
The bill used to have the money on it, and you had to actually subtract it off. Now it doesn't have it on it.
I don't know that it, I remember it being that way. I think you had the option, you know, here's how much it is with it, and here's how much it is without it, and you picked one, and you wrote a check
Regardless,
for that.
the question you asked,
Yeah.
I've already beat it to death, myself and Hill and Roger. And the way the software is proprietary, it's set up the way it is, and we got what we bought. Correct me if I'm wrong, Roger.
The bill, the hard copy bill presents very similarly to what it did before.
Okay.
The online payment is the difference in that you have to change the amount and tell it you want to add the donation to it. It's identified that you can do it. It's in red on the side of the screen to make the donation, but you have to functionally, if you have a $20 bill, you have to say, I want to pay 26, knowing the other 6 would go to the fire department.
Without being prompted to do it. You just have to want to do it out of the good of your heart. And,
Well,
and-
You have to look.
it doesn't force you to do it. You have to opt to do it. It does.
But is there a prompt that says, hey, do you want to throw $6 towards the,
There's in red on the side of the screen, if you want to make a donation, make the donation here. But it is different, and it definitely caused a degradation.
and we can't restructure how this presents when you,
We can restructure the appearance somewhat, but we can't restructure the functionality of the payment.
yeah, I guess I'd have to fumble through it.
So just to, if I can, I'll answer and add to Councilman Hill's comments. First of all, the minute document that he's talking about is the fire department's 15-year plan, a plan that we've had in place since 1988. We're one of the first departments in the city to actually do strategic planning and plan out financially that far ahead. Today, every piece of capital equipment that's purchased for the fire department is purchased through donations from our citizens through the water bill. If you reduce that amount, as has happened here, we're currently $63,000 down since the beginning of the year on an estimated budget of about $275,000 a year. You multiply that times 2, and we're sitting at $132,000 down on a plan that's 50% of our proceeds coming in. Your 15-year plan that we have out there today, that we've shared with council every year since that time frame, is going to go bust in 2 years. So either we need to correct the billing issue, which we're certainly receptive to. We talked at previous council retreats about a need to look at apartment complexes, look at nursing homes, which pay a single water bill tap that don't contribute at all, yet are a large contributor to call volume and expenses related to the need for the apparatus. So there's multiple other issues that we could look at beyond just, doing as Councilman Hill, suggested. I would have some concerns about whether or not our citizens would react negatively to that, as far as it being perceived as a tax, and I think Jim mentioned that. So I think that's, we'd have to be careful and work with council to make sure that that's acceptable. We approached council during one of our retreats, it's been almost 2 years now, about looking at actually increasing that donation amount from its current level of $3 a month or $6 when they see it on their monthly bill, to somewhere around $8 because of the 42% contribution rate that we had. We also talked about means and methods that we would go about to try to increase that contribution rate. If we increase that contribution rate today at its current $6 every 2 months rate, we'd have a little over $690,000. We probably wouldn't need it to be at $6 every 2 months. But because of the 42% contribution rate that's occurring, it is what it is. And we're certainly open for any kind of discussion. We just wanted to make sure that we emphasized the impact of this reduction. We're down $63,000 right now. That's basically the truck that we have budgeted this year, which was $40,000. We're going to have to look at that carefully. Just so you all know, you have 3 fire trucks that are currently, the payments for those fire trucks, the annual lease payments for those 3 fire trucks are funded out of this fund. At the current contribution rate that we have, there will not be enough money to pay all 3 of those leases this year. So no matter what we do, if we don't fix this problem, there's a financial impact back to the city. The city owns the paper on those 3 fire trucks. So just trying to be clear with the issue.
Yeah, the city manager has assured me there won't be a repo man over at the fire station.
I understand that, but no matter what, the money's coming from somewhere. It's either coming from the city or it's coming from this fund.
But I do think we ought to look at a fee per unit in apartments and nursing homes. I mean, it's only fair. That's why, I feel like guys like me that have been paying this for 20, 30 years are subsidizing those that don't. Anybody that has used or has a friend that has used this service, it's priceless. When these guys show up, you're in the best hands of anywhere. And this is a unique, very unique operation. There's no city has anything like it. And we offer free ambulance service, and we offer the best in the country. And I just want us to figure out a way to finance and keep this service. I mean, $2 a month won't even buy you a 44 ounce at the Sonic.
Yeah. Just to give you all a comparison, in 1988, when we first started and considered this fund, our newest fire truck was 3 years old. Our oldest fire truck was 29 years old. Today, we enjoy the luxury of having new apparatus, safe apparatus, state-of-the-art apparatus, state-of-the-art EMS and ambulance equipment here, and it's all directly related to the citizens' contributions to this fire EMS fund. So to the 42% that have been contributing, we thank you. You make our lives and our work and effort with the fire department, achievable. Our department, it receives accolades every year from some organization outside looking in at the work and effort that we do. We couldn't do that without this equipment. We couldn't do that without council support. So we appreciate everything that you all do for us. I'll be glad to answer any other questions anybody may have.
Councilmember Gustafson.
I think just more comment. One, you guys do a wonderful job with this long-term planning and your capital budgets. I've been on the wrong end of one of your calls, and you guys,
Fortunately,
two and a
it
half
was the
years
right
ago.
end, right?
Well, I'm glad you were there. I'm real glad you were there. I think you do, in a lot of ways, you guys, I think are a gold standard in how to run a volunteer fire department. We've just had this one little thing change, and we're the ones who did it, and there's got to be a way to fix it. How much money did we spend on this software? Do you know the answer? Well, I mean, $3 million, $30,000.
No, much closer to $30,000 than $3 million.
I mean, I would scrap it. It's already cost us $60,000.
You would, we cannot scrap it. This is just one small component of the entire enterprise system that we replaced.
Well, we could certainly go back to doing the water billing the way we did it before. Again, we're talking about we spent $60,000. We've lost $60,000 in 3 months, and we don't want to scrap it to save a $40,000 software program. I just, I certainly, until we can figure out how to do this where we're not taking the hit, I'd go back and do it the way we were doing it before. That's what I would propose.
Councilmember Rockey and then Councilmember McGinnis.
Okay, well, I want to make two comments. One is I do ERP implementations for a living, and I guarantee you there isn't any software out there that can't be changed.
Sure.
I guarantee it. It's just a matter of, what are you going to pay and for customization? Okay, so I guarantee that software can be changed. It may not be palpable to do so, but we could ask for it. The second thing is I think, and listening to the chief, we need a coordinated effort across a lot of different fronts on this. I'd like to see us put some sort of, SWAT team on this that's going to look at apartments, going to look at elderly care facilities, going to look at these rates, going to look at how we can communicate it, how we can, everything from PR to other things. I think we should put together some sort of team to participate. That I'd be happy to help.
One piece that is not ongoing but has begun is a concerted effort to improve the communications to the public. Jeff Newfer, our communications specialist, has reached out to the fire department, and there's going to be a program getting the word out in a much better effort, better way than we've ever done before. I know that to be the case, so we recognize that. I did see that it is interesting that there was 1 month that the donations dropped off almost totally, so that tells me that the online system probably did not accept payments at the very beginning. Since that time, the decrease has been 40%, 49%, and 30% most recently. So I'm not saying that something doesn't need to be done. I agree that something does, but part of this is a different system and a different way of doing it, and people learning, this is how I do it as well.
Can I speak one more time? Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, Doc.
As Councilman Rockey said, there's no software out there that can't change. And I've been on the vendor side and the client side of hospital software. And, we ought to just go as a business proposition back to our vendor to say, we didn't anticipate this, and put in a change request or have them evaluate what it would take to make that software update, even if it's a special request for Friendswood. I think, along with the Tiger team that you suggest, I think that would be a very prudent step to work with that vendor as a partner.
We have communicated to the vendor. The process that you entail is one that their software applies to all customers. So if they make a change for one, it's made for all. To make a change for one, they vet it with not the membership, but the customer base, and say, is this a good change that we all want to see? We can certainly say we're willing to pay you whatever it takes to make this change. I'm not sure that we're going to recover the money by even reverting back to the way it was before. Again, the opportunity is there today to make that donation, and I implore people to make it. They have to choose to make it. It says in red letters, if you want to do this, here's where you make the donation.
It does seem like people are learning how to do it. From 49 to 40 to 30 over 3 months.
The trend is in the right direction, but I don't disagree.
That's all I'll say. The trend is in the right direction, but we do need to educate.
I do not disagree with it's a long-standing need that a number of years ago, the donation rate was 50%, and it's declined to 40 or 42% over the years. So that trend was already happening aside from any software issues.
Yeah. Councilmember Hill? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's, I think maybe a lot of people realize that, I think they were just paying it automatically and didn't realize they didn't have to pay it, which may be the case, but I just think if nothing would have changed, we still need to address this. It's not going to sustain itself even at 42%. And I just think it's our responsibility to keep this system going. That's why ours is so unique. There's software companies that probably never heard of it. They probably think you're crazy having free ambulance service and then asking people to donate to pay for it. But it's unique, and I want us to preserve it. And you know, we're up here, we got to make hard decisions. This, to me, is an easy one. I mean, $2 a month to solve this problem and make it mandatory, it's pretty easy. And if they want to, they call it whatever they want. It's a fee for a service that hopefully you'll never need.
Councilmember Enochs?
Well, we've been talking about this for a better part of 5 or 6 years now, and it's just getting worse. And of all the services we provide, this is one of the critical things we provide. And it's always made me uneasy that we're relying upon a critical service with volunteer funds. And I think it's time for us to look at other options and other ways to secure this important asset. I own property in Alvin, I own property in Dickinson. I get water bills in both of those towns, and it's a volunteer fund as well. So that tells me, and we've always been volunteer, we're probably not allowed to charge a mandatory fee on our water bill for this. It's probably why it's voluntary. And I think the system changed. I think probably half of the residents that were paying it, that 42%, didn't realize they were paying it, because the system would default with that $6 in there. You'd have to purposely change the amount on the online system to back that $6 out, whereas now you're not having to do that. So I mean, we're fortunate we have a lot of volunteers. I don't like the idea of going to pay for service. And we already have a pay for service somewhat, because if our system gets overwhelmed, then we have to call upon other cities and other services around us, and our citizens, and that's the frustrating part from our citizens who pay that voluntary fee. So I paid the voluntary fee, had to use the service, and I had to pay a couple $100s because the system was overwhelmed. So I think there's enough going on here now, and I think we've been trying to hope this problem would go away, and it's not going away, and I think it's a time for us to address it head on and get this fixed the right way.
Anybody else? I think I heard you. Right. What else can we move? Yeah, I guess we could. We can do both executive sessions at once, can't we, Arnold? We've got to.
Yes, sir.
Okay, item 6, closed executive session, executive conference room adjacent to council chambers. A, communication from the public regarding executive session topics. Do I see any? B, council may convene into executive session in accordance with the Texas Government Code pursuant to section 551.071, consultation with attorney regarding contemplated litigation arising from settlement of legal action, White Realty Interests LTD versus City of Friendswood. And section 551.071, consultation with the attorney regarding legal issues associated with tax exemption application for Whitcomb property, and Section 551072 deliberation regarding real property, parkland development, legal advice only regarding potential development of real property located within the city of Friendswood, and Section 551087 deliberation regarding economic development negotiations to deliberate the offer of a financial or other incentive to a business prospect.
I think you have to call 24 as well if we're going to do that.
I'm scrolling down so I get the wording. And I'd like to call item 24, closed executive session, executive conference room adjacent to council chamber, City Hall. A, communication from the public regarding executive session topics. B, council may convene into executive session in accordance with Texas Government Code pursuant to Section 551074 personnel matters to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, evaluation of the city secretary. Do I hear a motion?
Motion approved. Second.
All those in favor? We're convened in executive session. Okay, we're reconvening into open session at 7:07. Number 8, discussion of possible action regarding recommendation for the city attorney arising from a settlement of legal action dealing with the White Realty Interest LTV with the city of Friendswood. Can I add to that we want to clarify that that's Olson and Olson?
Your motion,
Yes.
Well, I'll make the motion, Mayor.
Do I have a motion?
Mayor, I move that we direct the city attorney at the May meeting to present to the council a proposed outside counsel who can possibly pursue legal action on our behalf regarding Olson and Olson.
Mr. Mayor, I second the
Second.
motion.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Show it to be 6-1. Special recognition, Roger? Presentation of the Texas Municipal Library Directors Association 2015 Achievement of Library Excellence Award presented by Rebecca Poole, Library Director at the Deer Park Public Library and past president of TMLDA.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. I'd like to take this time to basically recognize the Friendswood Public Library for their winning the Excellence in Library Awards again this year. Of the 556 eligible public libraries in the state, only 41 libraries received this award this year. And some of the highlights, there are basically 10 categories that the TMLDA, the Texas Municipal Library Directors Association, looks at each year. They include public outreach. They look at summer reading program. They look to see if you are reaching underserved populations are some of the categories. In this situation, the Friendswood Public Library, their children's department provided 284 outreaches to nearly 8,000 area school children and daycare students, with at least 2 of those being bilingual ESL outreaches per month. They were also awarded an EDGE technology grant through the Texas State Library to improve access to technology. In this situation, the funds they received purchased 21 LaunchPad tablets for early literacy and for STEM programming, a 3D printer and scanner to be used in a new makerspace, a digital camcorder, wireless mic, and video editing software for in-house program archival purposes. They had over 2,591 children join the summer reading club this year, with 2,000 of them reading at least 10 books or completing stage 1 by reading at least 3 hours. So your library, as you can see, has been worked very hard over the past year. And at this time, I would like to present to Mary Peroni, the library director, the Texas Municipal Library Directors Association 2015 Achievement of Library Excellence Award.
To be quite honest, I told Rebecca that it was really easy for me to do this because Matt did it and did an excellent job. But we all work hard to, the entire staff to serve this community, and we appreciate it. Thank you very much. This is Matt Riley, the assistant director, and Karen Hart, who is my assistant. We're the triangle. Move over. Thank you. I also wanted to mention, they're here. Come up here too. What happened to Ruth? She's going that way. Oh, okay. Okay, well, this is Ted Thomas and Ruth Lay, who are also on our library board. Come up, Ted. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Rebecca.
All right. Anybody got a problem with me doing the joint public hearing? Yeah, okay. I'm going to do the communications first. Communication from the public. To comply with the provisions of the Open Meetings Act, the City Council may not deliberate on items discussed under this agenda item. The council may refer this item to the city manager or direct this item to be placed on the next regular council agenda. PowerPoint presentations are not conducted during the citizens' comment period. Christy Sabin, if you just step to the microphone, Miss Sabin. And then Adam Hill, and then Jay Hines, if you'd line up.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, what am I supposed to? I'm here with 906 Murphy, trying to get my 20-foot easement lifted.
Okay.
And Adam.
I helped her do that.
Yeah.
We've got, it is an item on the agenda, and I've got diagrams. Do we want to give those out now?
Yes, sir.
How many do we need?
Might want to let her give it out on her 3 minutes.
I'm sorry.
Just hand it to Melinda, she'll pass them down.
At 906 Murphy, there was a drainage plan filed in 1996. Since then, the city has offered regional detention. After starting her house, there's a 20-foot easement in the back of her property. Is a private easement. It is only for her lot. We emailed the city. The staff helped us. Drainage district, as you can see, had no objection. We moved forward in deleting and establishing type A drainage, which is done normally. There was some contesting of the neighbor next door about her watershed. We've had meetings on site. There is no evidence of any watershed. She was concerned about a hurricane or an Allison type event, and how high we built the house. We built the house to city specs. There is a drainage swale, as you can see, that is 100% on Ms. Saban's property. We do not watershed on anyone else's property around. The purpose of the action item is to remove the easement. The drainage has already been approved. We have purchased off-site detention. So this is kind of just to get rid of the easement so that she can further add to the tax base of Friendswood with a really nice pool.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Sabin, and thank you, Adam Hill.
You're done.
I'm done.
I have another.
Go ahead.
Okay, my 3 minutes. I'm here real quick to talk about, y'all are later on this evening gonna accept Sterling Creek Section 2. I wanted to give a little bit of a brief history here. All my stuff just fell, so we'll just go with it. We started Sterling Creek in 2010, went into contract. We went in there with all 90-foot lots. Today, Section 1 has 47 lots, 47 houses. We have $30 million worth of rooftops on the ground right now. And we did all this without the benefit of a mud tax. And we are now moving into Section 2. We are privately funded to extend Friendswood Lakes Boulevard, one half of it. The city donated their land. The county absolutely did nothing to help us. We're moving into a 35 lot section that will also be gated, that will lead to other high-end homes. The equivalent, to give you perspective of not having a mud tax, is one Mr. Greg Evans ponying up the money to build this. And if you bought a $600,000 home in Sterling Creek, you would essentially pay $4,000 less per year in tax and HOA dues than West Ranch. My suggestion is that the council fights off the delusions of mud taxes, stays with big lots, and stays with privately funded investors. They will do it. We will get good development, and the people in Friendswood will invest in Friendswood. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Adam. Mr. Hines?
Jay Heinz with the Friendswood Girls Softball Association. Just wanted to give y'all an update on the capital project that we actually were fortunate enough to play our first games with the new concession stand and the bathrooms this weekend. And we just really wanted to take this opportunity to thank you. It was fantastic. Obviously, there's still part of it that's being completed, but Mr. Tony's office is working really hard to get that done right now. And we just wanted to, again, thank council for helping us get this done and making accommodations to make this a reality for us.
Thank you very much. Right, well, we'll go right back up to item 10, joint public hearing to receive comments from the public, both oral and written, regarding A, zone classification change request for 1.5189 acre tract of land out of 1.586 acre tract, part of Lot 9, Block 2, Friendswood subdivision located in the Sarah McKissick or J.R. Williams League, property located at 311 South Friendswood Drive, Galveston County, Texas, to change from light industrial LI to the downtown district DD. Turn it over to you, Chairman O'Farrell.
This time we'll call our meeting to order to receive comments from the public, both oral and written, regarding zone classification change request at 311 South Friendswood Drive from light industrial to downtown district. Aubrey, you want to orient us on this first?
Classification change, this is a straight rezoning request. Unlike other requests that you see that we have site plans or something to go along with it, this is just straight rezoning. This property is, the future development of it will go through site plan approval with the Planning and Zoning Commission. They are requesting to go into the downtown district. There was the downtown district boundaries that were established in 2008, and this is within the boundary to be able to opt into the downtown district zoning. As a result of that, they'll be required to do all the downtown district development requirements, such as benches, lights, pavers, fenestration, and in along with that, they get all their development fees waived in order to help offset the cost of those items. And the agent is here to speak on this request as well.
The owners, Dr. James and Stacy Parsons, couldn't be here. The goal here is Larry's Florist. They're going to move right next door. They're going to put 2,000 feet of retail down below, 2,000 feet of office. This is going to be on the front of Friendswood Drive. And then directly behind that, it's going to be a 6,000 square feet event center, conferences, receptions of all variety. The background would be the project began about 7 or 8 months ago. The Parsons engaged with an architect named Kenneth Roberts. He's done a fantastic plan. They've been working with him on design, consulting with Sterling on the logistics of the construction. We've had several meetings with the city staff. The Parsons were very hesitant to comply with downtown district strict regulations, but after some time, Aubrey and Mo worked very diligently to inform them, several meetings, and made them feel comfortable to embrace the downtown district. The decision was made to move ahead based solely on the flexibility of the city and willing to make it work. Sterling demolished the old Flick plant building a couple weeks ago, and we're moving forward to change the face of the downtown district. The Parsons are excited. They do appreciate the city waiving the impact fees, offering grants for employees, possible grants to assist in the cost. But most importantly, we do need the city to help us get through some parking and just some other obstacles of these shallow lots down there. But I do think, once again, you can look at Larry's in the Magnolia Event Center as a good example of private citizens investing in Friendswood. They're putting several $1 million into downtown Friendswood, and it'll show. That's going to be a really nice place.
Thank you, Adam. This time, we would receive comment from anyone who would like to speak additionally in favor of the project. Anyone that would like to speak in favor? Seeing none, anyone that would like to speak in opposition? Okay, seeing none, then, Mayor, with your permission, we'll adjourn.
All right. P&Z's going upstairs if anybody wants to go upstairs with them.
Does that include us?
Can we go?
What?
Mayor, can we go?
What? Other than the council. Thank you for your work, gentlemen and ladies. Let me get us back on schedule here. We jumped around. 12. Annual report from Keep Friendswood Beautiful, Chair Sherry Goen.
Did you start the video? Huh? Yeah, you can go ahead and start. Hi, I'm Sherry Goen, Chairman of Keep Friendswood Beautiful. We have a video for you that you are able to view while I do my talk here. We just Great. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak regarding Keep Friendswood Beautiful. We had a great year, logging in 2,503 volunteer hours. We have spent many hours working with TxDOT and city workers formulating plans for the 518 medians project with using the funds from the $210,000 Community Governor's Achievement Award that we won last June. We have worked hard figuring out ways to reuse as many of the plants and trees currently in the medians as we possibly could. Over 90% of the vegetation will be moved to other city facilities. By this time next year, the 518 medians will be a source of pride for Friendswood, just as the 2351 medians are. Keep Friendswood Beautiful is honored to have secured this grant and develop a plan that citizens will enjoy. One of the takeaways that when we came back from the conference, KTB conference last year, was to look at a way to reorganize Keep Friendswood Beautiful. We identified subcommittees needed to distribute the workload, enlisted chairs for these subcommittees, and surveyed board members and volunteers to see which committees they wished to serve on. We got to the point where there was so much going on with Keep Friendswood Beautiful that we needed to really share that workload. We needed to get more people involved in leadership positions. So we took the board, we've added to the board, we have up now to about 17 board members. We incorporated the Parks Board into our organization. So we decided that in order to effectively work our projects and our goals, that we needed to add 5 committees to help get the projects done, coordinate better with the city, and make sure that the work was, that we kept our board members, that we didn't wear them out by a few people doing so many things. So we divided the board into executive committee, a beautification committee, public awareness, Education Committee, a Parks Committee, and Environmental Action Committee. So we left it up to the board. We surveyed the board as to what committee they would like to head, what committee they would like to serve on. We've been in this process for about 2 months, and we have seen a major difference in the amount of people involved and the amount of time that haven't been necessary for me to be involved. So it has been a real good thing that has happened as far as this reorganization. And everybody on the board now has a role, now has a job that they're doing, and we spread out some of these things over time. So it has been real effective. We have really liked the addition of the Parks Board members who came on board. They brought a lot to Keep Friendswood Beautiful, and we hope that they will continue to bring their ideas for ways to improve things in the parks. We again will be going to Sugar Land this summer to go to the Keep Texas Beautiful conference. We're glad it's close and that we hope to learn as many things as we always have in the past. In addition to the many activities you're seeing in the video, I want to highlight one event that we did this year that had a pretty big impact on KFB board members. We extended an invitation to meet with other Keep Texas Beautiful affiliates in the area that are approximately the same population of ours and are run by volunteers: Alvin, Dickinson, and Angleton. KFB hosted this workshop on March 10th to share ideas and voice concerns unique to volunteer entities. We speak frequently of volunteerism in Friendswood, and it's just not lip service or buzzword talk. It truly means something in this city. Unfortunately, that's not the case in the affiliates we met with. They struggle for funds, for support, for sponsors, and for positive interactions with city staff and their elected councils. So Keep Friendswood Beautiful board members want to thank Mayor Holland and each council member for your leadership and willingness to support our goals. We would also like to thank the City Manager's Office, the Parks and Recreation Department, and all of the other departments that show respect for our work in Friendswood through funding and commitment to Keep Friendswood Beautiful. Thank you for your service.
Thank you for yours and your group, Sherry.
Y'all have any questions about it? The meetings will be finished, I promise.
Item 14, discussion and possible action regarding approval of a change order for the paving improvements on Whispering Pines Ave, Friendswood Link Road project. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? You guys have read the backup, right? Any questions? All those in favor? All those opposed? Show it to be unanimous. 15, discussion and possible action regarding bid number 2016-04, construction Old City Park and Stevenson Park connecting trails. Do I hear a motion?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Get it built. All those in favor? All those opposed? Show it to be unanimous again. Item 16, discussion and possible action regarding approval of a professional services contract with RJN Group for a Phase Phase 2 study of the city sanitary sewer system and authorizing the mayor to execute the contract. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Councilmember Rockey? It's aye and aye.
What will we get that's different from the first study we did?
Let me do this. If Ms. Melinda, there's
Oh, no, I've triggered a power.
Just tell us, Patrick.
well, basically, I wanted to show you on the map what this does. This is basically the second iteration. what we did on the first one was get a broad-based where are we having issues. What this does is it focuses more on Area 8 and then Area 18 over here. We've gone in there and we've looked in those areas, specifically FM 18, because this area right there is basically Autumn Creek. Autumn Creek is not that old of a subdivision, essentially started in 98, 99, you know, we're talking 20 years old. Shouldn't be having the issues as one of the top I&I contributors to the city. We've gone in, we've looked for different things and haven't found, you know, large contributors. So what we would end up doing is we would be doing smoke testing for a good chunk, roughly, I want to say 17, let me look at this real quick so I don't just go off the top of my head. We would be doing 75,000 linear feet of smoke testing. For those of you listening at home, smoke testing is where you have good blowers on both of the manholes. You inject smoke in there. Smoke comes out of the ground where you have leaks. So help us to find where I'm pretty sure in FM 18 there's a cross connect there or multiple cross connects to help us find those and correct those. And then also in the, you know, FM 8, which is an older part of the city, help to determine what issues we have there.
So the difference in the two is the first study got us to the point where we've isolated our big problems.
Yes, sir.
Now we're going to go in and identify them and repair them.
We're going to identify them, and, you know, the third and fourth phases would basically do the engineering plans. And if it's simple enough, maybe we're able to do, we have contracts with IBR to come in and actually do the point repairs to fix it, or we develop ways of, if we see many different sections where we're gonna need to pipe burst, that's where those studies, kind of like a up umbrella, broad-based, and as you're getting closer to finding the true culprits, I guess.
Okay.
I just want to tell you, Pat, I fixed that one on my house.
Good, thank you.
I found one gutter was running down into the pool drain, which goes in the sewer. And the house was 35 years old. It'd probably been there forever. So I fixed it.
Good.
Any other discussion? Councilmember Enoch?
Patrick, why was this so much less expensive than what we budgeted for?
So much less expensive?
I'm happy. I'm just afraid there may be is there another cost coming that we don't know about? We budgeted 600 grand and it's only 150.
This is a portion of it.
Oh, okay. So the overall does a couple different things. This is coming out of that, but there's also repairs and other things that we end up doing with those line items. So this is I don't want to say a small portion because it's a quarter of the cost, but this is exactly what I anticipated for phase 2.
So we weren't budgeting 600,000 for phase 2. 600,000 is what we budgeted.
600,000 goes for our entire year doing different things, whether it be repairing collapse lines, kind of along those lines.
Good. All those in favor? All those opposed? Show it to be unanimous. That takes us to item 17, discussion of possible action regarding appointing a new member to fill a vacancy on the Keep Friendswood Beautiful Committee. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? 19, discussion of possible action regarding review of Harris County Appraisal Review Board decision on Whitcomb property tax exemption. Do I hear a motion?
Okay, yeah, I'd like to make a motion. Help me out if I'm wording this correctly, that we pursue the next step in legal action.
A notice of appeal. Filing of a notice of appeal.
Okay, filing a notice of appeal.
Sir.
I'll
second it.
He seconded it. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? All those opposed? Show it to be unanimous. Consideration and possible action regarding the following: a resolution of the City Council of City of Friendswood, Texas, affirming an equal employment opportunity plan and repealing all other resolutions inconsistent or in conflict herewith. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll make the second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Ordinances. Consideration and possible action regarding the following: ordinance number T 2016-10, second and final reading of an ordinance adopting revisions and updates to Appendix C zoning permitted use table, provided for the change of NAICS use 447 and NAICS use 532 from permitted use to requiring special use permit in the downtown district. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
We need a motion to take this from the table.
Oops.
This was removed from the table, I believe, at the last meeting and was approved on first reading.
This is
Yeah, this is second reading, Arnold.
We amended it.
We'd amended it at the last
Yeah.
meeting.
Got it.
So we're
This
good.
is the amended motion, right? Where
Yes.
they're all specific use
Yes.
permits?
Right.
Correct.
So we got a motion and a second, and it's been off the table, so I'm kind of hungry for a vote. All those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you, gentlemen. P and Z's got to bring us a recommendation on item B.
On item B, they had provided a negative recommendation at the last meeting based upon the comments received during the joint public hearing earlier that evening.
So it's not on their agenda?
It is not on their
Okay.
agenda for this evening.
Okay, then. Makes it even better.
The comments made by Mr. Hill earlier this evening, Adam Hill, were accurate relative to this item.
Okay. Item B, 21B, ordinance number T 2016-17, first reading of an ordinance approving a vacation of a portion of a public right-of-way. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll make the second. Any discussion? Councilmember Rockey.
As I understand from tonight in our reading, so all the parties are in agreement now, right?
There are nobody here from 904 Murphy. I was there when we met with the homeowner for relative terms, the homeowner to the right, homeowner to the left, and I believe the homeowner for 906 Murphy is here. They reached an agreement to come to an agreement, is how I would categorize that. And by no other party being here, I would say that's amicable.
Any other discussion? I went by the property and it looks amicable to me. The drainage is type A, drains to the front. We had some good rain. So, all those in favor? All those opposed? Show it to, almost unanimous, 6. Takes us to C. Ordinance number T 2016-21, first reading of an ordinance adopting the 2012 International Code Council versions of the International Building Code, International Plumbing Code, International Mechanical Code, International Fuel, Gas Code, International Energy Conservation Code, and International Residential Code for 1 and 2 family dwellings, adopting the 2011 version of the National Electric Code and adopting local amendments. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Councilmember McGinnis. Oh, do you guys want to say anything since you first and second? You're third.
Thank you, Mayor. About maybe 3 years ago, there was something similar, some similar international building code that came up, so that was different.
That was different. Yes.
And I recall our objection to that was going to be very punitive or potentially many inspections toward the homeowner. I just want to get reassurance, this is not including.
No, that was,
That
that
was
was,
property maintenance
that
code.
was property maintenance
Yeah,
code.
We're not adopting the property
This,
maintenance.
yeah, we're not doing that. This is something that comes up. I'm biting my tongue.
So,
Annually, they produce new codes for building. And Some cities are on the 2009, and they're going to the 2012. Some of them are going to the 2015. So that's what this item is, and that's what item D is. These are international building codes. Councilmember Scott?
So what's the purposes of adopting them? How do we benefit? And I'd love to hear Frank give us the rundown on it.
Before he retires, he deserves this.
Yes, he does.
No, it's benefit to the homeowner. A lot of this is about energy. There's adoptions over the years of either improving energy with conservation for windows, insulation. There's other things that they are putting in. It's arc fault breakers. Not everybody's happy with all of the things that have taken place, but the International Code Council, who writes up all these, are the ones that bring this. They have every 3 years, the code is changed. A lot of them are adopting the 2015. We're, I say, a little behind the curve. We're doing that because hopefully this won't affect and looking at what the 2015 might do right now. Most of the other cities have already adopted the 12. Most of the builders are already doing what the 2012 code complies with. Some are going above and beyond that, and they end up being the Energy Star, and so they get extra credit as a company for being Energy Star rated, and so they do that. But the building code, they're trying to improve each time they adopt a new building code.
Yeah, and I'll add to it that they're trying to make it unilaterally the same, which is an attempt at keeping everybody on the same page. I'm trying to remain positive, and it's mandated by the state that we go to these new codes.
Yeah, and the state hasn't quite caught up with this, but they're working on it. It's a lot of it to do with the Department of TDI.
Texas Department of Insurance.
And we are, our ISO rating, which is our insurance, if we, with our rating that we keep, it's supposed to keep the insurance rates down for the homeowners in this area.
For the homeowners, not for
right,
the
for the
city.
homeowner. Right, correct.
No impact on the city. So voting against this, or if we don't adopt this, means nothing, essentially, right?
Well, it could potentially in the future cause
Somebody might build a home.
insurance, their insurance premiums to go up on their houses.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Understood. Any other questions? I don't like it either. All those in favor? All those opposed? I don't like it, but it's mandated.
John Scott just voted to increase everybody's insurance.
Ordinance number T 2016-22, first reading of an ordinance adopting the 2012 International Fire Code and 2012 Life Safety Code with local amendments. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Approve, or second? Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Ordinance number T 2016-23, first reading of an ordinance. Is this on P and Z's agenda?
It is, and they've forwarded a positive recommendation to y'all unanimously.
Yeah. First reading of an ordinance rezoning 1.5189 acre tract of land located at 311 South Friendswood Drive, Friendswood, Texas, as also formally described herein from light industrial to downtown district. Do I hear a motion? Second?
Second.
I already seconded it. Yeah. I wanted to talk second, in case there was any first talking. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Sorry, you can't hear me. I'll talk louder. Come on back in, Jim. No. Okay, F, ordinance number T 2016-24, first reading of an ordinance approving an amendment to the ordinance number 2012-04, approving an annual rate adjustment for solid waste collection and disposal.
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second? Any discussion? Nobody wants to put their 2 cents in? All those in favor? All those opposed? See?
That was good. That was good. It was a Scott joke.
All right, ordinance number T 2016-25. First and final reading of an ordinance adopting Budget Amendment 6 to the original general budget of the city for fiscal year 2015-2016. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Communication from mayor and council. Councilmember Gustafson?
Had a very busy Saturday. Being a city councilman was a full-time job that day. Started out at the farmer's market, and we had the parade for the youth sports, the baseball opening day, hit the FFA barn, where they had their open house, girls softball, and finished up in the afternoon with the groundbreaking for the new firehouse. So there was an awful lot to do. Hope you folks were able to get out and participate in some of that. It was a lot of fun watching the kids at the during the parade and at the opening ceremony. So anyway, kind of the neat stuff that makes Friendswood a great place to live.
Councilmember Scott?
As far as the international code adoption and raising people's insurance, you heard that most of the builders are doing it to sell the homes. I'd prefer the market do it.
I wasn't as busy as Councilman Gustafson, but I made 2 of those events that day, and was a real pleasure. I felt really proud of our groundbreaking ceremony there at the new fire station. So congratulations to our fire and EMS professionals.
Councilmember Hill?
Well, I was glad to attend the opening of Little League. It's amazing how many kids and their families are out there. It's just a great thing that fortunately we're able to provide some facilities for. The other thing was the groundbreaking of the new fire station. I hope it moves along better than some of our other projects. I've only got 2 more years up here, so anyway.
Councilmember Enox?
Just as the construction is moving forward on the library, I want to remind everybody to have your opportunity to be immortalized on one of the brick pavers on the side of the library. Purchase them now, you're running out of time. They're $100 per brick. You can talk to Mary at the library or go online and make those purchases, and all those proceeds go to helping with finishings and improvements, furniture and things of that nature inside the library once it's fully constructed.
Thank you. Councilmember
2 things.
Rockey?
One, and Councilman Gustafson mentioned the FFA. They have their big auction, I think, April 13th. And they traditionally don't get that many people from Friendswood down there purchasing, animals or bidding on them. But if anybody knows anybody in town, it'd be nice, to go on down there. Second thing, I wanted to extend the council's condolences to Christy Nix, who covers us. She lost her husband a week or so ago, and I wanted to give our condolences to you.
Amen. I did baseball, which is always a treat for me. I don't know where those kids get their energy, but Councilmember Hill smoked me on the first pitch. I guess it took me 3 to get the little boy to catch it, but I was throwing a knuckler, a slider, and
I was throwing to a girl.
I really did enjoy the event, and watching them kids come running at you off those floats is sometimes overwhelming because the parents can't keep up with them. That's all I've got to say. Item 23, consent agenda. Second, any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Brings us to item 26. Discussion of possible action regarding the annual review of the city secretary.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we give Melinda a 3.5% raise this year.
I'd like to second that. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Adjourned.